What's up, guys, and welcome back to another episode of I'll Call You Right Back podcast with me, your host. My name is Chad Medved. Welcome to my podcast. If you feel kind today, please scroll up on your podcast app, hit subscribe on the podcast app, and if you are feeling generous, please rate and review the podcast. That would be a huge help for me, and that would be very nice for you to do. A rating and review is a simple way to support the podcast. It costs nothing, and it's just a big help for me. It allows my name to, I guess I don't even really know what it does. I would assume it allows my name to pop up more frequently or easily if you type it in. I don't know, but I know it helps. So if you could be so kind, scroll on down, hit subscribe, and rate and review the podcast. Turner Dairy Farms is putting out a brand new limited edition milk, and it's an exciting one. I have to say that the birthday cake milk is still the reigning supreme in my book, but I also have not had the chocolate banana that they will be putting out on August 17th, and I'm excited about it. Chocolate and banana that's like peanut butter and jelly. They just go together. They're great. It's a great flavor. I'm excited about it. And, they just keep putting out great stuff. If you go over to turnerdairy.net, they are putting out, or they have put out, a bunch of cool merchandise that, I think that a lot of it is actually sold out, but I know the hats are. But they are doing a limited edition t-shirt that is still available until August 15th, I'm sorry. But it's a pretty cool design. So there's two big speakers, there is a crate of records, there's a record player, and holding up the record player is a Turner's milk crate. And you look at that and it just whenever I look at that t-shirt, I just hear I hear Led Zeppelin, a faint Led Zeppelin just about to pump into my ears. And I just I think about my dad. I don't know why, but that's what I think about whenever I see the design. So obviously had to get it. I also was lucky enough to get a couple of their hats, and they're both great. I'm pumped for Turner's, and I'm pumped to work with them as always. So shout out to them. And if you could go follow them on Instagram at Turner's PGH, they have a bunch of new stuff coming up. So that's the best way to keep tabs on all the new things that Turner's are doing. Another thing that I felt that was kind of needed to be brought up. I was going to go on vacation this week. We were going to go on vacation. We obviously didn't have a podcast last week. I took a week off. Apologize, but deal with it. I didn't want to rush an episode out. Someone canceled last minute, and I didn't want to rush an episode out. And then I ended up being able to link up with the great Celina Pompeani, who I'm talking to this week. But I was supposed to go on vacation. I was super excited about it. Was going to go to the Outer Banks, toes in the water, ass in the sand, the whole 9 yards. I was excited about it. I'm not a beach guy, really. I'm not really a beach guy. I would rather die than go to Ocean City. I'm excited to go to the Outer Banks the whole month before going, and then all of a sudden I look at the weather app one day at work and I see that it's supposed to rain all week. I'm like, all right, dope. So it's going to be rainy all week. That's just our luck. But then I start to see that there's a hurricane a-brewing. And I was like, obviously, is this going to hit where we're going to go? And you already know it is. They bring up the radar, and it's all four pathways that, all four predictions, all four pathways that they predict for this hurricane all lead into the Outer Banks. And you're just like, do you want to drive down there? And do you want to go on the beach? And do you want to maybe, get jacked with a tidal wave or something like that? And you're just like, what's the risk? So me and my wife, we obviously, we take the risk. We're rolling the dice. We like to roll the dice. And we're on our way down there about 4 hours in. And my brother, who's also coming down, sends me a text and says, the island is evacuated. So we're just like, all right, what's that mean? So we have to turn around, obviously. So it's we drove 4 hours to get lunch at a McDonald's, and then just drove back. And, instead of being, terribly, just pissed off as someone would be, not being able to go on one of their vacations that they hope to be able to go on, as usual, we're making lemonades instead. You get lemons, we're making lemonades. So we stay at my aunt's cabin, super nice up there, and now we're trying to salvage the week. We're trying to live on the bikes. We're taking the bikes out, we're riding the bikes, we're trying to go to different places and do some fun stuff. Still trying to social distance, you got to social distance. We're still trying to do all that, but we're trying to have a good time. This is a vacation week, I guess, and, we're making lemonade. But we do have a very, very special week coming up. And this week we are speaking with the great Celina Pompeani. Celina Pompeani is a big personality in the city. If you are not watching her on KDKA or Pittsburgh Today Live, you are absolutely seeing her on the Jumbotron during every single Penguin game. You watch in the PPG Paints Arena. She is the in-arena host or the in-game host, and she handles all the interviews. She's handling the game. She's handling the trivia. She's handling, she's a host. She's taking care of everything, and you see her the whole time during all the games. Everyone's super familiar with her, and she's just she's known to be just a sweetheart, just a nice person. Everyone has a great thing to say about her, and she's the daughter of the great Bob Pompeani. Bob Pompeani is a sports broadcaster in the city. He's been working for 38 years, and everyone knows Bob Pompeani. Everyone knows the name, and Celina follows in his footsteps and is really doing great things for the city. She just won best of personality in the city, and it was just a pleasure to talk to her. Going to the Penguin games as someone did, I would always see her doing all of her interviews and doing all the hosting, and I've always just been curious about the whole operation. So I hit her up to come on the podcast, and she was cool enough to come on over and sit down and talk with me. So this episode is, it's great. We talk about the Penguins. We talk about Pittsburgh Today Live. We talk about what it's like to be a host and how someone kind of, what that's like and what it's like trying to come up with content and kind of curate all this stuff yourself, and kind of, what it's like to adapt in a world of the coronavirus, and when people that are, not really, there's all kinds of great topics that we talked about, and I'm not even going to get into any more of them, so just enjoy the episode because it's a really great one. So without further ado, episode 128 of I'll Call You Right Back podcast. Maybe it's 129. Let me look. Yeah, 128. I was right. Episode 128 of I'll Call You Right Back podcast with Celina Pompeani.
Telephone.
Hello?
Telephone.
I'll call you right back. I'll call you right back.
Telephone.
I'll Call You Right Back podcast. No, absolutely not. I just turn it on, and I'll usually find a good cut-in point. And
perfect.
Because it's very, 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 very relaxed. Everyone comes on here, and I've had different people that I feel like that they build it up too much to what it is.
Yeah.
It's a very, very relaxed conversation.
I know. I like it. I like it a lot.
Because so my first question is, I want to know what different jobs you have. I feel like you have 100 different jobs. Can you name them?
Well, so I guess when I started working with the Penguins in 2014,
yes,
because I was with them, I'm still with them as the in-game host.
Yes,
but I did a lot of work with them, and we had, during season you have crazy hours and you work a lot. The game days are long days. But that really got me used to working a lot, but it was also something that I loved. So I loved being at the arena. I did not mind the hours. The work is fun.
Yeah.
It is a lot of work, but I was like, you know what? This is like perfect for me. It doesn't feel like I'm actually like going to a 9-to-5 job. And so whenever the KDKA contacted me and we got in touch about the traffic position, Sarah Arbogast, who had the role before, was leaving.
Yeah.
So I talked to the news director and the GM, and they were like, you know, Sarah's leaving. Is there any interest in auditioning for the role? And I was like, yeah, I would love to audition. It'll be a good experience. I don't know much about traffic. You know, I grew up here, so I do know at least all of the major roadways and highways. But other than that, you know, you don't study traffic in college.
Yeah.
So after I got that position, that's when the 2 jobs started. And it was really tough.
Back and forth.
Oh my gosh, the first 2 years, year and a half before I went down to part-time with the Penguins, I would do the 3:30 a.m. until 9. So I only worked until 9 doing traffic. And then I went to the arena. 9:15 I would get there from the station. At least they were close by.
Yeah.
9:15 until 5 or 9:15 until 10:30, 11 on a game day.
Ugh.
So the turnaround to go back, get a few hours, get back up, it was challenging.
It has to be a crazy like schedule to get used to. I interviewed Mikey and Bob, and they kind of have the same.
Oh yeah, they do.
I see their tweets at like noon or midnight after I fall asleep, and then like they're on the radio before I wake up. And,
it's nuts. And they're
crazy.
at games all the time. They have like a freak show fan section.
I know. I've been in there a bunch of times.
Have you?
Yeah. They it's a crazy time. Like
it's crazy.
It really is crazy. But so we're in like this different part of life right now with this coronavirus. So everyone it's weird because like before this whole pandemic happened, it was it wasn't like a part of the conversation, but I feel like it's such like a big thing in everyone's life right now regarding work and regarding like just living and, functioning in society. So like, what have you, what have you been doing with your time? Like, have you had time off? Like, have you guys like,
Well, I've actually only had, I think, maybe 2 days, because I went on a recent trip that I'll tell you about.
Yeah.
But I took 2 days off for that. But no, I've been working my normal hours. But so right now, as of this week, actually, as of Monday, they started to go back to the earlier shift in the morning.
Yeah.
So when everything shut down in March 16th, I think was that Monday, that's when they told me, we won't be having you come in for traffic right now since there's no traffic. Everybody's working from home. But I was still working on Pittsburgh Today Live.
Yeah.
And I love working on PTL. So my hours shifted to normal people hours.
Yeah.
It was incredible.
I bet it probably felt
Chad,
great.
I would do, a 7 to 3 or an 8 to 4. I got so much sleep during the beginning stages of this. And even now, so I started my shift, I usually get in about 5:30, 6 in the morning, which is a lot better than 3.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's a little bit better than what it used to be before the pandemic hit.
Well, it's good that some sort of silver lining came out of all this, right?
Absolutely.
It got to be so crazy. So like your sleep is broken up. I would have to assume you probably get sleep whenever you can.
Oh yeah, a lot of naps.
Yeah, a lot of naps. I nap all the time. And it's fantastic.
Fantastic. Yeah.
Now I am curious. So you were telling me about this podcast that you started a while ago.
Yes.
Okay, and you said it was called. Say the title again for me.
Pumpin' Ain't Easy.
Pumpin' Ain't Easy. And we were talking about The Bachelor. And The Bachelor, you said, is your favorite show.
Oh, Chad, I love it.
How long has it been on? Like 30 years, probably?
Almost. I have seen every single season. And I love it now because since they haven't had any new seasons or episodes, they've been rerunning some of the greatest of all time seasons. And the very first one aired a couple weeks ago. His name was Alex, the first ever Bachelor. And I was in like 6th grade, I think, at the time, maybe even younger. But I loved it. And I remember it. Why did I start watching so young?
My mother got me into like 90210, Melrose Place. Yeah. It's like we watched all that garbage, but I loved it too. I mean, it's easy to like get into.
Yeah.
I don't remember the first Bachelor, but I remember the guy who was... he was like a weight loss contestant, or he lost all kinds of weight and then became a bachelor.
I should know this immediately.
I could see his face. But what's the other show that was the Millionaire Show? The guy was. They said that the guy was a millionaire. It was kind of like The Bachelor. Do you remember that?
No, but I mean, it's definitely ringing a bell in my mind.
It was called like Mr. Millionaire or something. I just remember it looked like some Greek guy with like curly dark hair. And
I feel like I know what you're talking about.
At the end, he was like a construction worker. He wasn't even like a millionaire.
Yes, this is totally a show, though.
Yeah, this is absolutely a show because I think I got them. I think I got them both confused. But like that was like my life growing up. Is like you would go to school. I would watch movies until my parents would come home, and then we would watch garbage TV.
Yep.
I love it. Your dad has been on TV for how long?
He just celebrated his 38th year at KDKA.
That's crazy.
I know.
38 years.
38 years.
And you've grown up with him being a figure on TV forever. Mm-hmm. I mean, like, what is that like? What is that like to have a dad that's just like, you turn on TV and he's just
hey,
there?
Bob.
Yeah.
I remember when I was little, my sister Chelsea and I, when my mom would turn on the news and we would see him, we would get excited. And that's when we both were like, we want to do what he does. He's on TV. How do we do that? So that's where it all started. As soon as we saw him, we were like, that's what we want to do.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's something that you always wanted to, was be on TV.
Always. And I think I've really grown over the past few years to love doing the stories I do on Pittsburgh Today Live and even at the Penguins, because we work so much in the sales department with Pittsburgh Today Live. So we're doing a lot of content with companies who reach out to us, and we have partnerships with them. And I really like the role of being sort of a spokesperson for each one of these pieces. Like we did one at Nemacolin and Woodlands.
Yeah,
and
I saw that.
Yeah, and that's what I do at the Penguins. A lot of my in-arena live hits are, promoting a certain T-shirt sponsored by somebody. So I think over the years, because I started out in hard news, that I've realized I still, love being on camera and broadcasting, but I like being a spokesperson for a lot of these companies that we have on. Yeah,
that would make sense. Like it's like especially if it's a company that you like, that you love, and that you like genuinely use. Like I'm sponsored by Turner's Tea.
Oh, the best.
And it's like they're the best. And it's like it's not like a job for me to like say anything about their names or anything. It's just like I love working with them. I mean, they're like a Pittsburgh staple along with like ketchup and Permanis.
Yeah. So good.
Yeah, it rings in my bell. I mean, it rings into my head anytime I hear the word Pittsburgh. It's like you have that certain like Mount Rushmore of like pivotal things, Eaton Park cookies and everything.
Oh.
Now, if you wanted to be a broadcaster whenever you were younger, it's like what was growing up like besides for your focus on broadcasting? Like, did you play sports? Did you like were you into like what were you into?
Wow. So Chelsea and I, that's my sister. I only have one sister.
Older or younger?
She's older. She just turned, I was going to say 30. That's not true. She just turned 31, and I turned 28 last week.
Okay. Oh, so happy birthday.
Thanks. We're 3 years apart, and we were both so into dance. We danced our whole lives, took tap ballet, jazz, and hip-hop for almost 20 years.
Really?
And we loved it. And we competed, and we were on the dance team in high school, and which my dad loved too, because he loved coming to cheer us on and watch us.
Absolutely.
But he always said, let's try some sports. So I think they put me in every single sport. I remember doing like private basketball lessons. I tried doing volleyball at school. What else? Golf, which have gotten back into, which is good. He's happy about that.
That's
great. They made me do a little bit of everything, and it wasn't for me, Chad.
Yeah, nothing stuck.
I just wanted to dance.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, where'd you go to high school at?
Bishop Canavan, right around the corner from you.
Yeah, not far at all. So, like, you guys had a dance team in high school?
Oh, yeah, the Crusettes.
The Crusettes. Wow. Okay. See, we didn't have a dance team. We had a cheerleading squad.
Where did you go?
I went to Elizabeth Forward.
Oh, okay.
My brother went to McKeesport, but I remember they had a dance team and they had a cheerleading squad, and then we didn't have a dance team. But like, I remember that there was. I I remember like the cheerleaders, some of the cheerleaders would like be in different dance teams that were like extracurricular things. But that's pretty cool.
Oh, yeah.
So that was a big focus for you.
It was. I loved it.
Was it like the same as like I have friends that were cheerleaders, so it was like every weekends they were like gone at cheerleading competitions and things like that.
And I was a cheerleader in grade school. My mom was actually the coach.
Oh, okay.
And in grade school I even remember back then I went to Holy Trinity in Robinson, and we would go to competitions like every weekend.
Wow.
I know.
That's pretty crazy. Yeah. Seeing like I played football all through school, and like I felt like that was a lot to do, but like you would see the cheerleaders and the people that were all weekends. It was like full weekend tournaments that they would never be.
It was a lot of work.
Yeah, it's crazy, absolutely crazy. So your focus in school, like I mean, everyone obviously in high school is trying to figure out what they want to do with their life.
Yep.
And you knew that you wanted to be a broadcaster?
Yeah, I did, and at Canavan, we had BCTV, which was the little TV station.
Wow.
And so I would do we had like a mini newscast in the morning.
Yeah.
Pretty much like morning announcements.
Yeah.
But we had even a green screen, so I would do the weather sometimes.
Oh,
so
wow.
that's when I was like, yes, I love this. I want to do this.
Was that a big school?
No, even now, Canavan is really shrunk.
Do you know how many people you graduated with?
I graduated with, I want to say 122.
Jeez. That's
But my
like
sister,
half of
even
us.
she had like 65 maybe.
Wow, that's small. I think we graduated with like 215, but like we didn't have like a TV station or like a radio station. Now my high school has like a technology like room that has like 3D printers and all this crazy stuff.
Yeah, that's whenever I go back to speak at Canavan, they have even more stuff. I'm like,
yeah, it's wild to see how everything like kind of goes along. It would be crazy to see like where people's lives would end up if like we had the same options.
Yep.
Was that the right word? I guess.
Yeah.
But
no, you're right. So
it would
much
be interesting,
opportunity.
right?
Yeah.
It's just like I've never even like back then. I feel like if I would have had that opportunity to, kind of like experience that, maybe I would like to do something like that. I obviously like talking to people.
Yeah, and you're good at it.
I appreciate it.
I also love this mug.
Thank you. This
is great.
I have one for you with the t-shirts and everything.
I want to ask you a question.
Ask me whatever.
Now that I'm looking at the mug too. I love the name. When you first contacted me, I was like, that's the greatest name for a podcast. How did you come up with that?
I had a podcast like 5 or 6 years ago that was kind of like, we didn't know what we were doing. It was like before podcasts were a thing. We interviewed like Lee Trebosic.
Yeah,
and, like,
lovely.
Fantastic person. Yep. Blew my mind just back
he's
then.
Great.
Absolutely crazy. But like that kind of like disintegrated because there was no one to really listen to it. And I was like, man, I would really like to do another podcast. And I was like, I'm not going to do one until I like the name. And I don't know where it came from really. I am always someone who, people will call me and I'm always kind of into some project or something and I'll be like, I got to call you right back. And I'll never remember. And it's not like I do it as maliciously, like on purpose. It's just like, I feel like I'm always like working on something. And I think that the people that I talk to, they obviously have a certain, path in life. And in that path in life, I'm sure they had them same instances where they're like, I got to call you right back. I'm trying to make my life.
Yeah, that's happened to me many times too.
It kind of fits with everything. But everyone, I don't know, it kind of fit and I just went with it. I always loved the brick cell phone.
Oh, and, yes. I didn't even notice that until right now.
That's the mascot. I had to buy that off of eBay. But,
that's really nice.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I'm happy with the name of it and like kind of, I wanted something that was kind of like that I could just do a bunch of stuff under. I didn't want it to be like kind of pigeonholed or anything.
No, it's great.
I appreciate that.
You can do a lot of different
things.
Yeah.
My whole focus is trying to, touching back on like the stuff that we didn't have the opportunities to do in school. It's like I design piping for living and. I've always been interested in people that are funeral directors and people that are broadcasters and radio show hosts. So this is like a good excuse for me to like, because you can't go up to someone
just to learn more.
Yeah, like if I saw you at a bar or something, and I was like, oh, tell me about your job for an hour. It'd be kind of weird. Yeah, it's kind of weird. But this is a good outlet for us to like try to be able to do that and have those conversations.
I love it.
Thanks.
Oh, yeah.
I'm curious about that TV show that you did. So it's like back then, did you guys have like creative control over a bunch of stuff, or was it kind of just like very, 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 very?
So this is in high school, right?
Yeah.
VCTV. Yeah. So it was actually impressive, the studio, because it was pretty big for, just a high school thing, and Art Canavan wasn't a big school at all, but I remember there was an anchor desk, a pretty nice anchor desk, and then they had the green screen, and then that was it for like their studio, and then across the hallway they really actually had a great control room.
Wow.
Yeah, that was the really nice part, so they were able to do a lot.
That's awesome that you were like able to have something to kind of like, start to get your hands dirty with.
Yep, it was so good. And I went to Point Park University, and they have a great program. So they had an awesome studio, and they even just got a new one a few years ago.
Easy to transition from there to Point Park.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Did you know you wanted to go there?
That was the only school I applied to.
Yeah. Well, that's good school.
I know. I did that because my dad and sister went there.
Yeah.
And they loved the broadcast program.
Yeah.
So, and I knew I wanted to stay close to family and close to my dad because he has taught me so much. So I wanted to be able to practice with him.
Yeah, and bounce some ideas off.
Yeah.
Bob Pompeani, come on. You got that resource at home. You have to use it, right?
Yeah. So that was it. I said, well, I know I want to go there, and I like that it was in the city too.
Yeah.
So,
that would make sense for sure.
Yeah.
Now, for you to go there and like kind of have an idea of, where you wanted to end up. Did you have an idea? Did I read you worked in was it Ohio?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Have you ever been to Steubenville, Ohio, Chad?
I don't think I've been to Steubenville. The only places in Ohio I've been to is like Youngstown and like Cleveland and, the bigger parts of it.
Well, Steubenville
is that small?
It's small, but it's only like maybe 40, 45 minutes away. It's really close.
Yeah.
Which is great. And when I was at Point Park, that's when I started working there. So I was able to finish classes, and then on my days that I wasn't in school, I would drive down to Steubenville.
Oh, wow.
So it was like the perfect thing for me. I didn't have to move away, because usually your first job, and you do move to a small market, and it was a small market, but it was so close to Pittsburgh.
Yeah, you were able to stay
I was able to
local.
live here.
Now, what did you do there?
I was the weekend anchor, and during the week, I was just a general assignment reporter.
Now, can you give me a small breakdown of like what those positions are?
And since it was such a small station, and I learned so much, but you do everything yourself. So I was a one-man band.
Yeah.
So when I was reporting, I would be the shooter, the editor, everything, the writer. And
you mean you're like putting up a tripod with a camera?
Oh, yes. I've had many bad moments too, Chad. I remember I was covering a flood one time, and I was in this neighborhood trying to get man on street sound from anybody to talk to me.
Yeah.
And I got denied like all day. And then I was so frustrated. I was in this flood, and I set up my tripod and camera to film me on camera introducing the piece, and the whole thing fell over, and the camera was in the water. It was luckily it like ended up turning back on, because those are expensive.
Yeah, that's crazy.
But yeah, I did it all myself for my stories, and then when I anchored on the weekends, we also had to produce the show too.
Yeah.
So I would go in and put the show together, get the video together, and
now are you like coming up with the content to like now you said it was a flood. Obviously that's like that happens.
Oh,
and you're adapting to that. But if there's not a flood, are you guys the ones that are coming up with content, or is it like someone bigger that's doing it?
No, that's the other thing. And that was the most challenging part, because when it was a slow news day, and a lot of days were, down there wasn't a whole lot going on, especially on weekends when I anchored.
Yeah.
So we would have to always have ideas to pitch.
Yeah, because you can't be boring if no one's going to watch it, right?
Yeah, you always had to have something. So I tried to plan ahead on days when it was slower.
It's interesting to think about like the aspect of being in a small place. I have a friend who's an editor of the newspaper in Telluride, Colorado. Okay. So Telluride is really, really small, very, very like desolate, and he is like, we did an interview, and he was like, it's just kind of there's not too much to talk about. If it's a small
Yep.
town, you don't really have like the big juicy stories that
No.
are going to get everyone looking at it. So like once one thing happens, it gets touched upon numerous times.
Oh, yeah.
But that's pretty interesting. How long did you work there?
I was there January of 2013 until September of 2014. So almost just under 2 years.
That's good though. And you doing all your stuff, you're probably like, you're thrown to the wolves. You probably are learning.
Oh, yeah.
You got to learn, right?
You got to learn. Yep. That was the one thing about working there. And I met so many great people too that I'm really good friends with right now.
Yeah.
Still. But that's your first job. And I think I was 20. Yeah, I just turned 20. And I was like, I'm still in school. I don't even know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
But as soon as you get thrown out there, you just...
Yeah. Once you go through one or two of them, you get used to it.
Yeah, after my first week, I remember I started to feel pretty good.
Yeah.
And it was easy to learn the equipment and the editing system. So,
Well, that's good. That's
Yeah.
good. Now, you don't strike me as someone that is like an introvert, really.
Oh, no.
Yeah. So, I mean, like, you're not nervous to like talk to people and, kind of.
not talk to, like,
Yeah.
I love interviews, and I'm sure you do too,
Yeah,
talking
yeah.
to so many people. But I always get nervous still on camera.
Yeah, I bet you would have to get nervous.
Even now, I mean, every time it's rare that I don't. But when I get really nervous, which happens on occasion,
Yeah.
I get this horrible red neck, this rash. It's really bad. So everybody knows
Yeah.
that I'm nervous because I have this rash everywhere.
Yeah, I mean, like that's an easy tell, but
I
I mean,
know.
I'm sure it comes with time. Like you're, you're like the face of everyone that goes to Penguin games. Like you have no choice but to adapt
Yeah.
and just be okay
I
with it.
love it. Well, I don't get nervous at games only because you're around so many people.
Yeah.
So I feel like I'm just like having a good time
Yeah.
with the fans. It's when you're in the studio, like at KDKA.
I bet.
When it's quiet and you have a mic on and you can hear yourself so clearly, that's when it's like, okay.
Now, how did that transition go from being in Ohio
Mm-hmm.
to working at KDKA?
So Steubenville prepared me in more ways than I can tell you, even with the Penguins, because I also edited all of my own content at the Penguins.
Yeah.
So that transition was so easy. I felt like even with shooting my own stuff, I kind of knew what I wanted to look for in pieces. So it taught me a lot before I got the job at the Penguins, which was great.
Yeah.
But even working at the Penguins transitioned me to KDKA because when I was only working at the Pens, I wasn't ever live on TV like I was in Steubenville. You're just live at the games.
Yeah.
But being live at the games still kept me in the game of live TV.
Yeah, got to keep you sharp.
Right. Even though I wasn't actually working for a TV station for a few years in between Steubenville and KDKA, I felt like each job prepared me for the next.
Yeah, I'm sure it would. I mean, you had that.
I use my hands so much.
That's all right. You have
Italians.
to, right? I would expect you to. So, I mean, like, I feel like that you have like the best of both worlds because it's just like if you're working live on the news and like you're having to prepare every day, whether there's things to talk about or not. That kind of exercises one muscle, and you're doing stuff with the Pens, so you have a schedule of what days are going to be there.
Yep.
You know who's playing. You could get things prepared that way.
Yes.
You're responsible for coming up with. I'm curious, who's responsible for like all these like trivia and all these the games that are being done.
So I have to give a huge shout out. His name is Billy Wareham.
Okay.
And Billy is my in-game director at the Penguins. Mikey and Bob know him really well. They're great friends. And Billy is the best. If we have 3 home games in 1 week, like Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday.
Yeah.
He will always get the script in advance. He is the one that comes up with everything.
Oh,
He
okay.
writes the entire rundown of the show, my script. He comes up with the games. He comes up with, he works really hard, but he gives everything to me weeks in advance.
Really?
So I could prepare for a game.
Wow.
Yeah.
I've always been so curious about
yeah.
that. If that's something that's like kind of just done like a few days beforehand or if it's, far out like that.
Yeah. And sometimes if we have, a really long home stretch,
Yeah.
it'll be closer to 2 to 3 days in between each, but still I'm like, this is great. I feel so prepared
to have a couple days for you to go over what you need
Oh
to.
yeah,
That probably cuts the nerves in half.
so much. It's fantastic. So that's been really great, and I feel so organized. Not that I don't feel organized to KDKA, but that's a little bit more of ad lib.
Yeah, you're kind of just like adapting to what's going on. Like
Yeah.
the news is such especially
yeah.
now in the world. I mean, like
Oh gosh, I know.
it's just like you don't know what's going to hit you, I feel.
No, that's why I'm thankful to work mostly on Pittsburgh Today Live, because
Yeah.
it's all feel good stuff.
Yeah, that's good.
you know?
Like you watch your show and there's no super heavy.
No.
It's just like it's a good escape
I don't
from
like that stuff.
Yeah, it's a good escape from watching like CNN or something.
It's all important, but
Yeah, and it's all based around the city. I mean,
yeah,
it's,
that's why I like it.
It's
yeah.
great. It keeps you in here. It keeps you involved. You have a good,
Yeah.
you have a good gang of people that work down there as well.
Oh yeah, they're the best.
Yeah.
Everybody on the show we have a good chemistry.
Now, Pittsburgh Today Live. When did that start?
Oh my gosh, years ago, the original host. I always thought it was Patrice King Brown, but now I can't remember if there was another woman before Patrice. But Patrice, who was at KDKA forever, I miss her.
Yeah.
She was an icon. She did the show, I want to say, in the 80s.
It's that old, the show?
It may even be older, because I think there may have been a host before her.
Wow.
Yeah.
I did not know that.
And it back then it was Pittsburgh Today. It was never Pittsburgh Today Live.
Yeah.
But it was, my mom would tell me about it because she did some modeling on the show.
Yeah.
And she said it was awesome, and it was at 2 p.m. every afternoon, and they had a live audience every day.
Wow.
I know.
That's pretty
That would
crazy.
be cool. I would like to have a live audience.
Yeah, you guys are just in there yourself, right?
Yeah, and sometimes it's cool to get reactions. You know?
Yeah, I'm sure it
You're
would
just
be-
talking to yourself.
It would be a whole different. It would be a different vibe.
Yeah, I
for
think
sure.
so.
Now, I mean, it's Pittsburgh Today Live. Now, this might be a dumb question. Is it completely live?
That's not a dumb question. Most of it is like when Heather and David are hosting.
Yeah.
Everything's live. Some things aren't live. For example, I today at work did an interview with a guy at Seven Springs to talk about some of their activities right now.
Yeah.
That's airing Monday. So that is not live, my segment.
Oh, okay.
But it looks like it's live.
That's good. That's
Yeah.
good. That's how the sausage is made, I guess. It makes me curious though. One, I mean, this is a topic that I was curious about. I am someone
Mm-hmm.
who does not have cable. Okay, I haven't had cable since I moved out of
You're
my
one
parents.
of many.
I
All my
know.
friends, nobody does.
What is that like to work in a TV based show? I mean, like, is that I feel like young people not having cable, and I
Yep.
thought that was so interesting to
It's
think
so
about.
interesting. Well, I always tell myself there are two different audiences that I have, and for the morning news and PTL, and we do have a lot of younger people that tune in, but
Yeah.
mostly our audience for both are a little bit older.
Yeah,
But then you have the Penguins, and the Penguins,
Everyone.
everyone, but also so many young people.
Yeah.
So it's so funny trust me, I don't get recognized that much. I am like a nobody. But if somebody does recognize me at the grocery store or somewhere, it's always the younger person. By young, I mean teenager,
Yeah.
even early 20s. They recognize me from Penguins.
yeah. I mean,
But-
you're always on the
Yeah.
jumbotron.
The older generation will recognize me from KDKA.
That would make sense. That definitely makes a little bit more sense.
But it's so interesting because people, like I said, all of my friends, they don't have cable anymore. My
Yeah.
fiance, he just got it, but he didn't. But I was like, you should get it. Watch our show.
Yeah, watch our show. Now, for your show, obviously, it's it's a little bit more beneficial that it's
Mm-hmm.
local and it's you don't have to deal with any of the negativity
Oh,
and
no.
all the heavy stories. Is it the same sort of like way that it was before? Like, are you coming up with the content, or do you have
Mm-hmm.
like producers that are there?
Yeah, sometimes we'll throw in our own ideas, but
Yeah.
we have a producer on PTL. Her name's Jill Neely, and Jill has been doing the show forever.
Yeah.
I don't even know how many years, but she's been there for a long time, and she has it so
pat.
down.
Yeah.
Oh, she has so many contacts. So she is really the one who does all the bookings, and she works with the sales department. So if we have sponsored pieces,
Yeah.
she'll pass them to us. So Jill is really the mastermind.
Handles it.
Yeah, she handles everything.
Now, do you guys have like a long time to prepare for certain shows, or is it like you said it was like a couple days out for you to like, kind of get prepared for what you're going to talk about?
Yeah, sometimes, like next week, I know a lot of my segments in advance.
Yeah.
Especially if it is a sales piece, they'll submit what they want well in advance, which is nice. But sometimes it'll be a day.
Yeah.
A day in between. So a shorter turnaround, but that's still, to me, plenty of time. After working in Steubenville, trying to create 2 separate 2-minute packages a day.
Yeah,
that
absolutely.
day, the deadline's 5 p.m.
That would be stressful.
It's stressful, and I
Yeah.
don't miss that world.
I bet. I wouldn't
like
miss
more
that either.
time.
What is what's like an everyday like for you to go into work there? It's like you get in there and it's just like all you guys in there. You chill out for a second, have some coffee, and then get going.
Well, now, because really nobody is in the building, and
That's a good point. That's a shame.
It's a shame, and I miss being there. So, but I mostly do all of my stories from home
Yeah.
now. But today, let's talk in the normal time.
Yeah, let's talk in the normal time.
So before all of this, I would get to work when I was doing traffic at between 3 and 3:30.
Yeah.
Definitely I'll have all my coffee.
Yeah.
But I would get there, open my system, which had like all of the data that I needed, all the traffic flow.
Yeah.
And I would look at what was going on, if we had any crashes, prepare graphics for construction projects starting that day. So I would usually give myself from 3:30 until 4:30 to prepare all of my content for the show.
Yeah.
And then, so about an hour, and then I would start at 5 a.m.
Okay.
But now, I get
Yeah.
up a lot later.
That's great. That's great. It got to be great. I still work in my office only has like 3 people in it.
Yep.
So I'll go in there. My wife has been working from home.
Oh,
and,
good.
It's so much better
Is
for
she here
her.
now?
She's upstairs working
What?
right now. Yeah.
She has to come down.
She is. She's probably, I think she was like, today I have calls all day and they're working on some crazy thing. She works for PNC.
Okay.
So she's always just doing crazy stuff, but I'll bring her down. But she gets up a little bit later now. It's just better. It's,
just roll out of bed.
yeah, it's better for her.
Yep.
So, like, whenever now back into the coronavirus time, obviously, if you're doing stuff at home, do they like send you home with like a media package where you get like stuff that you could do all this stuff at home?
I wish.
No.
No. Nope. I have a computer, and that's it.
Yeah. Is it all webcam stuff?
Yeah, we do everything now on Zoom.
Yeah.
So, which I was like, what is Zoom back in March?
Yeah.
Which I'm sure everybody.
I never knew what it was either.
Right. And that's all I do. I have my computer. And then just yesterday, it's funny you bring that up. They gave me a really nice ring light, a tripod, and
Game
a mic.
changer. It's
Yeah.
a game changer.
I don't know why I've never had one.
My wife does wedding makeup. She's been doing it for years, and she has a ring light, and
It's amazing.
I'll steal it sometimes to take photos
Yep.
of all the podcast people. But it's interesting to think about like how it's like the whole world sacrificed some quality for a little bit of like ease with webcams.
Oh, I know.
Because even there's big people like Joe Rogan has the biggest podcast in the world. He's doing
Yep.
Skype interviews, and they look and they sound not the best, but that's just what everyone's doing.
That's what it is. I feel like even when I turn on the news, like you're so used to seeing
Yeah.
that now. You're so
Yeah.
used to seeing, like, I think it'll be weird when we ever go back to that and have like a normal close interview with people.
Yeah, like I haven't been interviewing too many people at all. I think I've interviewed 2 people since like the beginning of March, and one of them was
Wow.
outside at the point. I just been doing like research based
Yep.
podcasts on random topics, and it's just weird to try to adapt for everyone. I mean,
yeah.
it's definitely interesting, but you guys got to still do the news, I guess. Everyone needs the news.
Yeah, exactly. So we'll see. I'll be excited though the day that I don't have to do a Zoom again.
Yeah, absolutely.
It gets old.
Now the Penguins, I mean, obviously the whole deal with the in arena host position, Like, what's
Yeah.
that? What's going on with that right now? I mean, I know that the Penguins are back.
Yep. I'm not back yet.
Yeah, not back yet, I would
But,
assume.
Yeah, not back yet. So that's why it's really nice that I have my KDKA job.
Yeah.
Because this whole time I just wouldn't have been working. But I talked to Billy, who I mentioned, my in-game director, and he said, we're hoping when we go into next season that we'll be able to have fans there.
Yeah.
Even if we can't have the whole, arena packed with 18,000 plus fans, if we could do half, or if people wear cool Penguins masks, I'm sure they're going to sell out like crazy.
Absolutely.
But something. So we are planning on
Yeah,
that.
trying to
hopefully
adapt to
happens.
what's going on with the world, for
Oh,
sure.
I can't imagine.
No, it's a shame. It really is a shame because,
a shame.
we were, my cousin had season tickets. We would always go, and it's just like it's such a great time to be there and
I know.
experience all that.
I love
In
it.
a normal world, what was your night like at the Penguins? Like you get there and like what goes on?
Yeah, so in a normal world, hopefully this continues at
Yeah,
the end of this
hopefully.
year for next season. But it's so weird to say at the end of this year for next season, that next season will be beginning right after this season. And it's just all confusing
it's
and
so
weird.
strange.
But so I would normally get to the arena by 3:30 p.m., which gave me time after KDKA to get home, nap, and get ready for the game. So I would get there at 3:30, and then we have a meeting at 4. So it's usually 3 hours prior to puck drop.
Yeah.
So we have a game meeting that Billy conducts, and we go through the whole rundown. And then we actually have a rehearsal in the bowl. So we go through the whole entire show.
Really?
Yep.
Wow, I didn't know
Yeah,
that.
they go
That's
through the
cool.
whole thing just to make sure all the video's there, all the music, whatever else they need, graphics. And then after that, it goes pretty quickly. And then I would say maybe by 5 o'clock, that's when we usually go down to the media lounge and have dinner.
Yeah.
Which is great. They always have dinner for us.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, it's really nice. And then from that point until the game starts, I'll look at my notes because I always make note cards for my scripts, and I'll run through everything. And then I start during pregame.
Yeah, and then it plays
I'm
out
all
how
over the
everyone else
place.
sees. It's so it's interesting because it's like I feel like are all those segments like live?
Yeah.
Whenever we're watching them?
They're all live. It's rare that one would be taped.
Yeah.
I feel like the only taped one I ever did was when it was during our Veterans Day game, and we had Soldiers and Sailors had a really nice exhibit in an area where they couldn't pick up my mic.
Oh, okay.
So they had to tape that and send it upstairs.
Yeah.
But yeah, every single one is live.
Now, while you're doing this, are you constantly moving during the games? Like you don't get to enjoy the games really, do you?
No. I mean, sometimes I'll get a nice break from like, I'll have one in first period, nothing until second period.
Yeah.
But usually they have me pregame, first period, first intermission, second period, second intermission, third period.
So you're running around all night.
Yeah. So I'll usually, when I finish my pregame hit, I'll run to where I'm supposed to be for my first period hit.
Yeah.
So I just kind of hang out where I'm supposed to be. But that's good. I do get to catch a little bit of it.
Yeah, that's cool. It would be so fun to be like you were talking about before. It's like working for the Penguins. I feel like it wouldn't be like a job really. It's
No.
like it gotta be so fun to
It's so fun.
be a part of that.
And it was a really hard decision when I went from full-time to part-time.
Yeah.
And sometimes, I don't know what I liked more. And I still don't, because I really love what I do at KDKA, but I loved what I did with the Penguins, but I wanted to do both, and that was the only way I could do both.
Yeah.
And game nights were my favorite part about working there anyway.
Oh, I bet it would have to be. Now, for you, is it this might sound weird, but like the regular news stories, obviously if you're at the arena, you're doing everything with the Penguins. It's all focused around hockey.
Yep.
With the news, is it more interesting to, hear the different things that are going on, like the different subjects, rather than just like only Penguin stuff?
Yeah, I mean, I would say whenever I would do traffic, and that was all that I was focused on and talking about for 4 hours in the morning, but I had my earpiece in, so I would always hear the entire newscast while I'm making my graphics in my little traffic center.
Yeah.
So I actually loved that because you could hear things. Sometimes, you don't have time to turn on the TV to read the news. So that was like my way of getting my news
it's
for
like
the
an
day.
everyday podcast.
Yes.
You're just listening to a news podcast.
Yeah, so I do like that. I like hearing a variety of stories, all kind of stuff that's going on, but hockey's more fun.
Yeah, I would suggest I would guess hockey would be more fun. Now, for you to have a father like Bob, like Mr. Pompeani, and him being there for 38 years, and him being such like a figure in the city, like he's a well-known person in the city.
You got to get him on.
I would love to.
He
get
would
him
love
on.
to. I'll set it up.
Is he a talker?
He is a talker.
I bet he would have to
love
be.
to sit here with some wine.
I would love to talk to him. I'm sure he has all kinds of stories. I was going to talk to Sally Wiggin.
Oh, she's a hoot.
I know. I was trying to, but then whenever I messaged her, she was like, "I'm going to Africa for like 3 weeks."
Yep.
And then after that, all this coronavirus stuff happened. I'm gonna have to
She
get
goes
back
there
with
a
her.
lot.
Yeah, she does go. I was
That's
like,
cool.
"Oh, okay.
Oh,
Go to
yeah, have
Africa.
fun."
We'll see when you get back." Now, for him to be who he is, and for you to be building your personality and all you are in the city, he got to be pumped.
Oh, I hope so.
He
I
got to
think
be
so.
pumped.
Yeah.
I mean, I would say. I mean, do you think it would be fair to say that you are? I mean, how would I say it? I feel like your personality is more broad than his. I mean, like you're more. I think that people experience like that see you more, like obviously the Penguin games and everything like that.
Yeah.
It's I mean, you might be able to overshadow him here in a little bit.
Wow. So, and he says this to me a lot too. He's like, Celina, why didn't you ever want to get more into sports? Meaning, it really is, especially now, easier for women in broadcasting
Yeah.
to get to a position faster in sports because, people love that. If you look at, all the CBS sideline reporters during games, you
Yeah.
see so many women. And if I could go back, and I'll have to, I never admitted this to him. He'll always say it, and I'm like, oh, because that's not my passion. But if I could go back, Chad, I would become a sports broadcaster like him.
Yeah.
I think I really would have loved it. And I always say, well, sports really isn't my passion. I've grown to love hockey. I
Yeah.
love hockey. But when it comes to baseball and football and basketball, I'm just an average fan. I don't know how to analyze a game and pick apart plays like he does.
Yeah.
But I wish that I could. Sometimes I do. But like you said, I feel like I know a little about a lot.
Yeah, it's like you're way more broad than just like
Yeah.
he's obviously great at what he does as a sportscaster.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
Like, he definitely got that game on lock for sure. But I feel like that maybe it's because I'm not like a big sports guy. You know, like I like watching hockey. I haven't watched a football game in forever. That's terrible. I'm a terrible Pittsburgh player. I played football my entire life.
I was going to say, you played football.
My entire life, and I just don't watch them too much. I love watching hockey though, but I feel like,
Me too.
Personally, I would just enjoy a little bit different, subject matter each time.
Yeah,
You know?
and that's why it is good, I think, to do what I'm trying to get that experience with
Yeah.
doing a little bit of everything because you never know where the next opportunity will
Absolutely.
be. Or it's good to know a little about a lot of things.
Yeah.
if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Now that I'm thinking of it, I did. When was this? January, I think, of 2016, I went to New York for the weekend.
Yeah.
And my parents took me, and I signed up for this weekend boot camp. And it was with an agent. I think her name was Marky Costello. It was Marky, because I like that name.
Yeah.
But I signed up for the class because she was an agent for like every major entertainment reporter, everybody on Access Hollywood, on E, on Good Morning America.
Yeah.
I was like, I want to take this boot camp. So I signed up for the class, and it was amazing. And that's what she told me. She was like, you should create a brand and a website called alittleaboutalot.com.
A little about a lot.
Yeah, and I forgot about that until I said that right now. Maybe I
Yeah.
should.
Maybe you should. It makes more sense. in the long run, it just is like it seems to it. I don't know. It's just so it's just apples and oranges of it all.
Yeah, it's good to hit a lot of different people.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, were you someone that was like inquisitive growing up, as far as like wanting to learn about certain things, like wanting to interview people and like kind of be a journalist?
Yeah, I think I was. And I was always pretty outgoing.
Yeah.
But I would I think I found that I was, I guess, inquisitive at Point Park.
Yeah.
I would say was my first few moments like that, because even during my freshman year, and when you're a freshman, you have core classes and you're figuring out what you want to do. So my first semester, I did all core classes. I think my second semester too, but I still would go to the library and rent out all of the camera equipment and go around town and do pretend news stories for practice.
Yeah.
So I would just call people up and pretend like I was just putting it together for school, which I was, only it was just for myself. It wasn't for a class. And I would ask them questions about whatever story I was doing. So I was always
interested.
Yeah. And that really helped me. Because I started to build a reel outside of the broadcasting classes.
Especially if you're doing all this stuff yourself. You're gonna be like, I produced all this myself.
Yeah.
It's like, that's smart.
But I'm sure I would have to ask my parents that. I'm sure when I was younger that I was always nosy and
that's what I mean. I was just like always asking, like I was surrounded by adults all the time. My dad would take me all these junkyards. I would go and I would always be talking to adults. So I've always been good at communicating with everyone. And I would be like so inquisitive whenever I was younger, asking questions about everything. My first interview was like whenever I was I remember in 4th grade, I had to interview someone for a school project, and I did my first interview, and I just loved it ever since. Like just learning about someone else's like path in life, and being able to like kind of like take things from that and like learn from mistakes. And
it's so interesting.
It is interesting because like we all have this like 9 to 5 life. Well, not all of us have a 9 to 5 life. You have a 3 a.m. to 12 midnight life, but it's like we're all stuck in this path, and we all have this main focus, but learning from different people's, like, I don't know, it's interesting. I originally wanted to do the podcast in hopes that like, younger people would listen to the different people that I would have in here and kind of like hear how they got to where it is and like, kind of understand that it could kind of lead wherever.
Yeah. I love it.
It's interesting. Now, what is like, what's like, did you ever have any other dreams of doing anything besides being a broadcaster? If you weren't going to be a broadcaster? No.
No. I remember at one point for like a day in 8th grade, I wanted to be a surgeon.
Okay.
But I don't know what...
I could never do it, I don't think.
See, I don't get grossed out by anything. I would be fine when it comes to that side of things. I think it would be cool to operate on somebody and to cut into somebody, like blood, needles, that stuff never grossed me out.
I could never do the school.
Me neither, Chad. I couldn't do the school. Math and science were never my strong areas at all.
I remember people in high school learning anatomy. They would take anatomy and they just had like a pack of like 40 pages and they're memorizing all these bones. And I was like, I want nothing to do with that.
No, I couldn't do it.
The body end of it all, like, operating on people, that's kind of why I brought in a funeral director. Like, I had a funeral director.
I need to listen to that podcast.
She is fantastic. She also is, are you familiar with someone named the Brothmonger? Rick Seaback posts her all the time. Her name is Sarah McAlley, and I originally met her because I wanted to talk to a funeral director. And she was like, out of 100 episodes, like my favorite episode. It's just fascinating learning about like, the preservation of a dead body.
I would love, it's
Absolutely.
interesting. Yeah.
And it's interesting, but all of a sudden she is just like, she makes these incredible soups. She's been in Pittsburgh Magazine, been written up a bunch of times, but she is strictly on Instagram. So she'll just post on her Instagram. We have this butternut squash bisque dropping today. There's only 10 quarts, just sells out immediately.
Wow.
So it's super hard to get, but Rick is an advocate of her stuff. Hal Klein from Pittsburgh Magazine.
I love Hal
All these
Klein.
people love them, and but she's super interesting. You should definitely listen to her episode.
Yeah.
We talked to that ended up leading me to one of the directors at PIMS at the Pittsburgh Institute of Mortuary Science, and her I guess he would be her teacher. I ended up interviewing him. It was my favorite episode that I've ever done.
Wow.
Just learning about all that stuff. I don't know why.
Oh, I would like to learn about it too. You just wonder what goes into it.
Yeah, it's crazy to hear about all that stuff. Now, for you to be someone that's working at home and doing all these broadcasts at home, do you think that it's you're obviously adapting to it, but do you think that it's a negative compared to what it is, or compared to what normal life would be?
Well, yes and no.
Yeah.
I think the quality is not the same.
Yeah.
That has gone downhill, which you can't do anything about.
Yeah, you can't do nothing about it.
You just have to get used to the Zooms and people not looking where they're supposed to be and the sound not being as clear.
Yeah.
But so I definitely, I don't think it looks as good, but at the same time, I kind of like watching, even the national shows. I like watching them at their houses.
Yeah.
It's interesting to see, what their living room looks like.
It is interesting. It's
So I
super
like that
interesting to
part.
see that. I watched an interview with Paul Rudd the other day. It was Paul Rudd and Chris Evans, and they were just talking
love them
about
both.
something. Yeah, they're both fantastic. I was like, I guess that's just Paul Rudd's house.
Yep.
I was like, that's cool to see.
Yeah.
It's
I think a
interesting.
lot of people enjoy that.
It's also pretty cool that it kind of opens up the possibilities of who you're going to be able to talk to, rather than just being in person. You can only talk to so many people in person. But I mean, if it's a new normal to talk on Zoom, you could
talk to anybody over the world.
Go
That's
further.
what I love the Hallmark Channel so much.
The Hallmark Channel.
And I did an interview. Oh yes, the Christmas movies.
You watch all those
I love
Christmas
it.
movies?
I watch them all.
That's all right. My
all
mother,
the
my
same.
mother-in-law, they all love them.
Well, I did an interview with one of my favorite actors on Monday, but I never would have been able to interview him.
Yeah.
Without Zoom.
Was
He's
he
in
a
LA.
Hallmark? Is he a Hallmark actor?
Yes, he is. But he was
wow.
on 90210.
Who was it?
Teddy Montgomery.
Who was he on 90210? Was he a bigger person on 90210?
No, that was. So I did not watch that many episodes of 90210,
Yeah,
so I couldn't even remember. I
I was almost
"Who's
way
Teddy
too.
Montgomery?"
I was almost way too young for 90210. I only remember the Peach Pit.
And I should have clarified too. This was the new version. They have a
okay.
new.
Do they? A new one?
I don't know if it's still out right now, but this was a couple years ago, so it's not the same as the
Yeah.
original for sure. But
Yeah.
he was on that one.
That's awesome, though. That's awesome, and
But
for
yes.
you to be able to interview him, that's awesome.
That's the good upside to Zoom.
Yeah, that would make sense. That would
Yeah.
definitely make sense. What about now? Whenever you're not working and doing all this, what do you do for fun?
Well, my favorite thing is eating and going to restaurants.
Oh yeah,
I love going to new places. I like the experience of being out.
Yeah.
It's just fun. And
I
we have
yearn
so
for
many
that
good
now.
spots. Me too.
it's so terrible.
Even that's why I miss it. And last Friday, where did we start? I was with my 3 friends. Where did we first go? We went to Overeaten.
Overeaten.
Where is it? It's that rooftop. It's right across when you go over the 40th Street Bridge
Yeah.
and go into Lawrenceville. It's
Yeah.
right on your left, before Wendy's.
Oh, really?
It's across the street from Wendy's on Butler Street. And so we went there and we had a really nice dinner on the roof. And we had a drink, and then we were like, well, let's go switch it up. So we tried to go to Walter's just
Yeah.
to sit outside and have a beer. And I totally forgot about the rule that you can't, right now at least, go to a bar and just have a drink.
I know.
So you needed to order food. So we were like, we should have stayed at Overeaten.
Yeah.
Everywhere we tried to go, nope, unless you eat.
It's so crazy.
Yeah.
We're just saying. It's. I get it. Everyone gets it for the better sake of humanity.
Yep.
Yeah, I get it.
I
We all get
know.
it, but it doesn't mean that we can't miss what we have.
We miss it. And I also love going to the movies.
Oh my! We were
miss
just
the
talking about
movies.
that. We were just talking about the movies. Like me and my wife both just got into biking over
that's
this
good.
whole pandemic. Just like I started baking sourdough as soon as it happened, and I
Wow.
got heavy into sourdough.
I
but
love sourdough.
It's way too hot to bake right now.
Yeah. Oh, I know.
But we got into that, and I was like, man, all I would like to do is ride my bike to the movies at the waterfront and watch it, and then just ride back.
That sounds so nice.
Yeah, it would be great.
know.
Now, I know that you recently got engaged.
Yeah,
Congratulations.
thanks.
That's awesome.
Thank you.
I'm sure that it's going to be an interesting time trying to plan a wedding. I know how much craziness is going on because my wife does the wedding makeup.
She does makeup.
And I just hear all the stuff that she's dealing with, people rescheduling,
Oh my gosh.
people
Yeah,
doing
she's
all this
getting
stuff.
a taste of it.
It's insane. It's insane. It's just a crazy
It is. And we have a date
already.
next September 25th. But
You
I'm
should
even
probably be
like,
all right by then.
That's what we're thinking. But then we're also like, it's still almost only a year away. I mean, hopefully.
I know.
Hopefully.
I feel like hopefully we have to be done by then.
Gosh.
Whenever this whole pandemic happened and people started getting locked down, like, what was your thoughts of all this? In the beginning,
It was like, I feel like every day I woke up and like almost didn't believe it.
yeah,
It's even now I look back and, even at the end of February, who would have ever thought
No
this
one.
would have happened?
yeah,
Going back to Sally Wiggin, before I'll go back to that question.
Yeah.
But I just remembered this because at the end of February, I saw her at an event and it was February 28th, so right before all of this.
Yeah.
And I went to go give her a hug and she was like, no,
Yeah.
get away from me. She said, don't you read what's happening with coronavirus? And I was like, well, yes, but we're fine here. Like,
Yeah.
no, don't worry, Sally. No, she was she went to a conference that afternoon and listened to a doctor speak.
Oh,
And I
wow.
can't remember where he was from. I don't think he was from the United States. It was like this big medical conference, and they were saying what's going to be happening within the
Yeah.
next few weeks. So she was like trying to tell me this, and I was like,
On top
Sally,
of it.
it's not. We're going to be fine
Yeah.
here.
I
Nope.
know.
Sally
I
knew.
know.
Sally knew.
No one knows. No one knew what was going on. We're all in the same
Yeah.
boat here, just trying to figure out life right
Yeah,
now. We're
so
just trying to
that's-
figure out life.
Yeah, that's all we're doing.
Now,
But-
your work is obviously, you're consistently working. The Penguins is obviously all up in the air right now. Hopefully, so what is the deal? They're having playoffs right now. Are these
I
considered
can't believe
playoffs?
Saturday.
Yeah, like
August 1st is the first game.
that's crazy.
It's even the when was their preseason game against Philly? Tuesday?
Yeah, Tuesday, right?
Was it Tuesday?
I think so.
Yeah, even like watching that live, it's so weird that we're going into August and this is happening.
Yeah, it's bizarre.
It's bizarre.
Now, for being someone that is involved in like sports, now what is your opinion about like, obviously you can't have any fans in there, but do you see that there's people that are like, they're like importing sound over, like that's crazy. Baseball's putting crowd noises in there.
Yeah, which is like really odd to watch because you don't see anything.
Yeah, you
but
just don't see no one in there.
But I guess, why not?
Yeah, why not do
Better,
it?
yeah.
Better than nothing, I
and
guess.
I wonder if it would be interesting to talk to players who either, feed off of the crowd and
Yeah.
the loudness, or some that I'm sure like to focus and they don't want to hear things.
Yeah,
That would
yeah.
be interesting.
It would be interesting. I'm a big UFC fan person. Like I watch a lot of UFC, and like they don't have anyone in there.
No.
And it's so bizarre because in the UFC you have cornermen, and they're
Yeah.
allowed to like talk and give,
Yeah,
input.
what's going on with that?
You could hear everything. Like you could hear the fighter's breath fluctuating from being
Wow.
like, being fine to them being like super gassed out, and it's
That's
such like
kinda cool.
It is. It's super cool, and it's such a weird aspect to be able to hear what the coaches are yelling at them.
Oh,
and
yeah.
it made me wonder the same thing though. Like some people, I'm sure, would come out and thrive on that like noise, thrive on
Yeah.
all those people there, but I'm sure some people probably are the opposite, and they like that it's kind of more contained and more quiet.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I don't know what I would like more.
Yeah. I mean, I think that the UFC stuff, it's interesting to not have anyone there. But whenever you're watching baseball and football and hockey, it just feels weird.
I know,
feels like you're watching practice or something.
I know, it's not the same. Who would have ever thought?
Now I did submit on Instagram for people to ask you some questions. Could I field some questions that people had for you?
I'm glad people posted.
Oh, a bunch of people. People are excited to hear
good.
all about what you do. So one of the most asked question is, what is your work schedule? We went over that. Someone asked if you had something called a time turner, which is basically a time machine. I thought that was funny because
funny.
You're always.
I wish I did.
Yeah, everyone wishes they did.
Oh.
It's crazy to think about how much stuff you do in 24 hours. Now, have you ever had any bad mistakes while you were doing interviews or anything?
So many.
Now, is there any that like stick right out to you where you like said a name wrong or just like was real bad?
Many mispronounced names over the years, but I think the worst, and I'll send you the video. The worst was in Steubenville, and I was anchoring a show, and it was me and the co-anchor I had, his name was John Rutter, and Mary Hours, she's a KDKA now, she's a meteorologist.
Yeah.
So I worked with Mary in Steubenville, and it was her first night on the air, and so she was a little bit nervous, but trying to get everything organized and put her mic on. And she realized, like, right before we were coming back from break that she didn't have her mic on. Oh. But it was time for the weathercast.
Yeah.
So she left the studio. So they come up from break, and they're like, we don't know what to do. We don't have time. So they were like, Celina, just do it. So I'm like, oh, my God. I hear in my ear, here's your severe weather Team 9 forecast. Chad, it is the most horrific clip. It's like 2 minutes maybe of me making up the weather, looking at the wrong camera. I'm looking here, and this is where I should be looking. And I am like, wait until you listen. It does not make sense at all.
Now, whenever you're doing weather stuff like that, or do you know what you're going to say, or do you have someone like feeding you what to say?
Yeah, it's like weather and traffic are the same. Like you just ad lib. Like you study it before, but you know what.
Like, I didn't know, obviously you see like the weathermen, they have a screen where you could like see where you're pointing at and everything.
Yeah.
But I didn't know if it was like someone that was like, kind of telling you what was going on and you're just regurgitating what they're telling you.
Oh, no. Yeah. They do all their research. They have so many different models they get their info from, and then they create their graphics. And that has a lot of info on it, so they could reference that.
That's interesting.
But, but many other bad moments. That was just one.
I'm sure, but that's it's interesting. You had to have a bad moment in the beginning.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so this one I thought was a great question. Your favorite theme night at the Penguins?
Oh man, my favorite one, I would have to say they're all really fun, but I like the 70s, 80s, 90s. I like the decades.
Those are awesome.
If I had to pick, I would say the 90s.
Yeah, the 90s are the best.
Yeah.
I love it.
Because I'm a 90s baby.
Yeah, I'm a sucker for all the 90s stuff. It's just the best.
It's the best.
I like the Halloween ones.
I always love Halloween, and the Ugly Sweater Night's fun. But even though I've never seen one Star Wars movie in my life, which is sad.
That's all right. I mean, I feel like, to be fair, anyone that watches them now, I can't expect them to enjoy them.
No.
The original ones, if you watch the original ones now and you've never seen them before, I do not expect you to enjoy them whatsoever. No. They're very dated.
Yeah, I can imagine.
But if you're young and you grow up with that, there's a certain nostalgia for it.
I know.
But that's funny, all the Star Wars people.
I liked those theme nights, even though I didn't know.
Did you ever see the real Chewbacca, or the real Ewok costume that they had there?
I'm sure I did.
There was an actual.
I'm trying to think.
There was an actual.
I remember Chewbacca.
There was a Chewbacca, but at the pen section, there was someone in like a movie grade Ewok costume.
Wow.
And it was mind blowing. I think I've probably been to like 4 or 5 of them pen sections now. Mikey and Bob are always cool, and they always hook me up. I always bring a big cowbell, and but those are the craziest times.
Oh,
but that leads right into the next question. What is the craziest game you've ever been to? Do you know offhand?
Do you mean I wonder if they mean crazy like the actual game, or crazy
The crowd.
experience, the crowd.
What about both? You got both?
Oh, I have a clip that I need to show you too. This, I think, would be the craziest interview moment in the crowd that I've had. And this was the first, I think it was the first night or second night that I ever did a game.
Oh, my.
So they tested me out. This was and we did not have a long playoff run, but this was the 14-15 season.
Okay.
So I think we were playing the Islanders. No, the Rangers. I'm sorry. We were playing the Rangers, and I remember I was right. Now I'm pretty sure it was the Rangers.
I never could remember if it was Rangers.
Yes, no, it was.
Okay.
It was. I remember because we lost in New York, I think, in Game 5.
Ugh.
Oh, I know. So anyway, it was during that series, and we had to do this game on the ice during one of the intermissions it was an awesome game. The winner won a ton of money. It was sponsored by the casino, so it was some sort of table game that they brought onto the ice.
Yeah.
And the one guy who ended up winning was like absolutely wasted. He was on the ice. It was horrific, which of course you can imagine a drunk person on ice is not good.
Not good.
So he was falling all over the place, but didn't actually fall yet. He was just, tripping
Loose.
and sliding. He was loose.
Yeah.
So I went to go interview him after, and he took me down. But then I tried to bring him up and ask him another question, and he ended up punching me. Not really punching me. It was like a get out of here type thing. And
oh my
it
goodness.
was just, we were like, oh my God.
And this is your second night.
Yes.
That's crazy.
But there have been, it's funny, and I love, people should have a good time at these games, and they should have some drinks and
I'm sure
enjoy
you've
themselves.
seen so much there.
But I think the craziest moments would have to be with anyone who has had too much to drink.
Yeah.
There have been a few.
I'm sure it would have to be. How do you guys pick who is, how are the people that are picked for the trivia?
So it's all, and I'm pretty sure it may be either the sales department or Billy who has each section lined up, because they try to be fair and go around the arena. So we have a specific location that they have mapped out when I get my script.
Yeah.
So it'll say the Duncan Puzzler will be in 203 row A, C3. So I never pick.
Yeah. I just didn't know how, if it was they're picked through just random then, or if it's just by seats or whatever. That's pretty interesting.
Yeah, I think it's random. Billy likes to try to get to every section, but some I believe are sales related. If there's a sponsor in one area.
I love all the trivia questions. Those are always the best.
They're fun.
It's always funny to hear someone a blatant trivia, a blatant answer, and that someone can't get, and then you just hear people in the crowd screaming it as loud as you can.
Well, and my big boss, his name's Rod. He always is like, Celina, I know you want to see everybody win, but it's better. The crowd loves it when we have a funny person who can't get that. And I have to admit, I've given away a lot of answers.
I mean,
because I like when they're happy, and I like when they win.
It's probably not you probably got to feel some type of way, whatever. It's just a little kid or something that doesn't win.
Oh yeah, I got to give the kids the answers.
Yeah, you got to, right? You just give them a little whisper. Okay, so another question was the most starstruck you've been in the arena.
Oh, there's a few good ones.
I bet there is. You see random people popping up.
Yes. And I was going to say, not with the players.
Yeah.
Because you get used to seeing them around.
I think we were at a game one time and Michael Keaton was there.
I was going to say Michael Keaton, Joe Manganiello.
Oh, yeah. He's crazy.
I saw him up in the suite area. I was like,
yeah.
You can't miss him.
Yeah,
He's a big guy.
Yeah.
Who else? Christina Aguilera. Which I did not get to meet her. I was hoping they would send me up to do an interview, but I walked past her again on the suite level, really briefly. Not even walk past. She was down a little bit, but I saw her, and I saw her. I saw her. I was like, I just need to hurry up and get down there.
I know.
And then same with Carrie Underwood.
Wow. Yeah. Carrie
when
Underwood.
The Predators were in town.
I forgot about that.
Yep. And I saw her too, because I do a lot on the suite level. Yeah. But I couldn't,
Yeah, I mean, you can't
go up to her.
Can't go out there and
Carrie.
fangirl out.
Yeah.
Carrie, big fan. Yeah, I would guess because like there's so many people that you see pop up there, sports people like Steelers, baseball players, and everything. And it's I don't know, it's a different environment being in there.
Oh, I know.
I think I was trying to think like whenever someone said like the most like so someone asked the most memorable game, and I feel like that we kind of like do you think that that's the same as what you mentioned before? Is like
maybe, and all the theme nights really stick out too.
Yeah.
Most memorable.
Whenever I thought a memorable game, I went to the game that Fleury came back with the.
So I'm sure
Vegas.
they mean
Something
memorable
like that.
as an actual
I
game.
was crying. I was just sitting there.
That was one of the, and it was everybody like felt it. It was.
That was the wildest
best.
ever. That was the absolute wildest game that I've ever been to. I was at the game where Brent Johnson knocked out DiPietro, and like like I've been to a good bit of games where I was just like, and then that Fleury game, it's just like I don't even know why I was crying. I was just like looking around at everyone, and I just have tears going down my eyes.
A lot of people were.
Yeah,
I would say that was definitely in the top 5.
Yeah, like
like
I got chills thinking about how loud it was in there. It was just insane.
So insane. Another one that stuck out only because I love Pascal Dupuis. It was. I can't remember.
Who couldn't love Pascal?
Oh,
Dupuis?
he's the best. I just.
God.
He and Dan Potash, like their relationship.
I mean, it's just
I miss seeing that now when he was a player.
We're biased for sure, but like I feel like that we just have the best team.
Yeah, I agree.
We're
we
biased,
really
but I
do.
feel like we have the best team.
But it was when he came back, and I can't remember which game it was. I want to say it was December 2015, maybe?
Yeah.
I could be wrong. But it was when the Penguins played like the most incredible video tribute for him. And that it was kind of like a Fleury moment. It was just moments like that stick out. They're so powerful.
It's a powerful moment.
Yeah, but I don't know. Maybe one of those.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure that you've like how many games do you think you've experienced there?
Too many.
Yeah,
no,
like
not too many.
Got to be an insane amount.
A lot.
So you probably can't even keep track of all
before I
them.
worked there, I would go to a lot of games.
Yeah,
just
sure.
we just like to go.
I'm sure.
And I loved Katie O'Malley, and she was the host before me, so I always liked to watch her.
Yeah.
Too at the games.
Well, I mean, growing up, obviously, Bob probably had the ticket to go to some cool experiences. You probably got to experience some cool things growing up.
It's funny because we really I don't even get tickets for games.
Yeah.
And he doesn't either. Sometimes like he'll get some, if work has an extra pair or something, but he did get us tickets. And I think he bought them, which was great, and as he should have. But no, he got tickets for the 4 of us to go to in 2009 in Detroit.
Oh my God.
And how old was I? I'm so bad at math. Here's the math skills.
That's
Chad.
all right. 2009 would have been 11 years ago. So you'd have been 17.
28, so I would have been 17. But I was a
what an
senior in high
experience.
school. And to be there as a fan at the Joe, to see them raise the cup, like that was the coolest thing.
Yeah, like I have chills thinking about it. That's crazy.
I loved it.
That's awesome.
Now that I should say some of my favorite moments too and favorite games were when we won on the road because we opened the arena up and had fans come in.
Oh, I remember that. Yeah.
And I just got chills thinking about it. But even though it wasn't a home game, I was like, this feels like a home game.
Yeah, that was so cool. I forgot all about that. That you guys did it where people were allowed to come watch it. I remember Mikey and Bob had it. They hosted it the one time there, and like the Pens screen outside.
Oh, it's so great.
It's just we have a great team.
I know.
Okay, now the saddest moment. Do you have a sad moment? I think
Is this still with the Penguins?
I guess. I feel like a lot of people that said, because that person said the most memorable game, and then they said the saddest moment. So I would assume that would be Penguins.
Moment.
I was at Washington 3 years ago. Whenever they beat us on the road.
Oh, you went?
Yeah, I was down there. I have family that lives in DC, so
okay.
we would always go to them games, and it was cool because like if we would win, we would go on the steps and just yell at everyone and berate them.
I love that. The steps.
fantastic.
That's what everybody does.
But we were winning like 3-1, and then they came back and won in overtime, and it was just like, ugh. That was probably my
no
saddest
cheering
game.
on the steps.
No
for you
cheering
that
on the
night.
steps. I was so sad.
Yeah, the saddest moment. It would have to be a really bad loss or just a bad injury. And this wasn't even. Of course, I wasn't working there at the time, but I was also at the Winter Classic in 2011. And that, of course, was like a horrible game, moment, everything.
Yeah, the weather.
Crosby. The weather
The weather,
sucked.
everything.
Yeah, it was horrible. And then when Crosby got hurt, like that was...
Yeah, you feel like your heart
Yeah,
just like
I remember
stopped.
So I think any type of moment like that.
Yeah, that's fair. That's a fair answer for
Yeah.
sure. Now, what about whenever you're there in the games, who do you think has the most intense crowd, the most intense enemy crowd?
Ooh.
I thought that was a good question.
That's a really good question.
For a minute, it was Columbus for the last couple years whenever I would go. Like, them games were crazy.
Yeah. I was going to say Columbus. That's a really good example. DC.
Yeah, DC is nuts. Philly.
Yep, Philly. You know what? Even when we played Toronto, they have. You should see.
It's bizarre.
So much blue.
It's bizarre
I can't believe how many people come down.
Yeah, like whenever we had them season tickets, I remember we couldn't go, and my cousin sold those ones, and there was more Toronto people that were there.
It's nuts.
Definitely crazy.
Yeah, but Columbus is a good one.
Yeah, they were nuts the last couple years.
Oh,
I remember going to the game, and he was like, "Oh, I can't go to this one. Do you want them?" And I was like, "Hell yeah, I want them tickets." So we went there, and I just remember like I took my wife to her first game a couple years ago, and she was just like, "This is insane here."
Yep,
it's a different world.
It's a good
in there.
atmosphere.
Okay, so another person asked a question: what is life like with Bob? And it says, "Is he a cook? What is his best dish?"
Unfortunately, Bob is not a cook.
Bob doesn't cook
at all.
Do you cook?
Yes.
Okay.
Recently, more so, but no, I do. Ever since I lived with my roommate.
Yeah.
We no longer live together, but she was great. Her name's Renee. She was such an excellent cook.
Oh, that's
like
fantastic.
homemade stuff all the time. So I learned some from her, but I do very basic things.
Yeah.
But I could make my way around the kitchen. I'm not bad. My mom is amazing. My
Okay.
grandma's amazing. Bob,
Not too good.
not too good. I think the only time he ever cooked that I know of was when he tried to help out on Thanksgiving. And I was I think I was like in kindergarten or first grade, and he was not even paying attention to what he was doing or with the turkey in the oven, and there was a mini fire.
Stick to the sports, Bob.
Not good in the kitchen.
Now-
but life with him is great.
Yeah, I'm
He's
sure
the
it's
best.
great. Now, another question that someone said was the best vacation that Bob ever took you on.
Oh, this is a good question,
It's
too.
a good question.
And it's sad because we try to go somewhere every July. We always have.
Oh, yeah.
And so this is the first year where we're not going anywhere.
I'm supposed to go to the Outer Banks tomorrow, and they're about to get hit with a hurricane
I know.
on Monday.
Are
So-
you still planning on going?
I don't think it's kind of up in the air right now. I just talked to my brother right before you got here, and he was like, "I don't know what's going to happen." He was like, "We're probably going to have to cancel it." But unless
Like, of all things, like...
the only weekend, it's like the only weekend, and it's literally going to be just like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So he's like, I don't know, whatever though. I'm
it's
salty
a bummer.
about it. It is a bummer.
I would be salty too.
But you guys would go away every July?
Every July since I was born, the best one. Well, this was up there only because it's such a good memory and a good story to tell. But in 2005, we went to Cancun, Mexico. Speaking of hurricanes, and we got stuck in Hurricane Emily. So we were only at the resort for 2 or 3 days, and the rest of the week we had to go to a shelter that was in a gross, hot gym that was so tiny. There were thousands of people in there. So for the rest of the week, we slept on this little skinny gym mat on the floor in the same clothes and underwear. Like it stunk in there. But it's like fun.
Yeah, that's a good memory. Those are good stories to come back to. Remember that time?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
well,
every year was good.
That's good. I mean, vacations, they're needed. We'll see what happens with mine. And then the last question that someone submitted was your favorite restaurant in the city.
Ooh. Well, This is a hard one.
I know, it got to be hard. That's a hard question.
For sushi, I love Little Tokyo.
Oh, that's the best.
It's so good.
Little Tokyo has great sushi.
They are, every time
It's
you
really
go,
great.
it's a great experience,
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's
they're
absolutely.
so accurate.
You know, there's another hidden gem called Taipei Tokyo in Monroeville.
I've never been.
It's like it's slept on. It's a hidden gem. It's back by Plato's Closet, where like the old like Home Depot and stuff was.
Okay.
They probably have the best sushi I've had in the city.
Really? Okay,
Yeah.
I'll need to go.
Yeah,
then.
it's good.
I gotta go. Yeah. So until I try that place,
Okay.
Little Tokyo for sushi.
Okay.
I really, really like for a fancy fine dining Altius on Mount
Altius.
Washington.
Yeah.
But it's expensive,
Yeah.
so can't go there very often. I love Dish in the South Side.
Yeah.
Have you been?
I have not been there, but everyone's been telling me about
It's
it.
like it's this little tiny place, but it's all just homemade.
I get the most recommendations on here. Everyone tells me all
Dish is
different
so
places because
good.
I always talk about food on here.
You need to.
Yeah, we go all the time.
Oh yeah. What else? There's so many good ones.
Too many good places
too
to
many
even
good
name. You ever
places.
been to Streets on Carson?
No.
They're in Carson Street. They have the best wings in the city.
Really?
Wings,
I love
sandwiches.
Wings. I love everything.
Yeah.
There's nothing I don't like.
Yeah, same thing. I love food. All right. So, those are the listener questions. Now, we could move to this is the last segment. I do a segment with everyone. It's called Desert Island Questions.
Everybody gather up, please. I think this is a perfect opportunity for all of us to participate in some really intense, psychologically revealing conversations. So we're going to be playing Desert Island. Desert Island. Desert Island.
Desert Island Questions is where I give each of my guests 3 categories to take with them on a desert island to exhaust until expulsion. So the first category is 3 things to watch on a desert island. So you get to pick 3 things, which are movies. You could pick a TV show. You could pick whatever you want. 3 choices.
Okay. The Hallmark Channel.
Hallmark Channel.
The Bachelor.
The Bachelor.
Yeah, Hallmark Channel as in everything.
I could have guessed both of those.
Yeah. Yes, and then the third would be HGTV.
HGTV. Mm-hmm. Really? You love it?
I love it. I love every show on there.
Well, I could understand that. My we had family that would always have it on, and
Yep.
that's whenever I would catch up. Is whenever I'd go over there, I would be like, "Huh, okay."
Yeah.
Now, do you read it all?
Yeah, I used to a lot, and
Yeah.
now I don't as much. But I
Okay.
do like to when I find a really good book.
So, I usually ask people 3 books, but what if can you do 3 books?
3 books. I don't even know what. I think the most recent book I read was the Girl Wash Your Face and Girl. I think it was Stop Apologizing, which were really. I kept seeing them on Instagram. The Girl Wash Your Face,
What are they?
and they're just books about. Oh, what the heck was the Girl Don't Apologize? The Girl Wash Your Face. I think I read that a while ago, which was my most recent, which is sad. But the Girl Don't Wash Your Face or Girl Wash Your Face was about kind of like getting your life together, and
Yeah.
it's okay to. Not
Yeah.
have everything perfect. And Girl Don't Apologize was the second book of that series. And it was kind of the same thing, but I like that one more because I felt like I could relate to it, because my one fault that I wish I could change about myself, and I try to, like, every New Year's, I'm like, this is my resolution, is I never say no.
Yeah.
And I apologize for things that, like, it's no big deal. Like,
Yeah.
I'm a people pleaser.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I really related to that book.
Yeah.
So I enjoyed that. I guess I would bring that.
Okay.
Why not?
That works. You have a favorite book growing up whenever you were younger?
I guess in high school, the Twilight series.
Oh, yeah. I love those movies.
I love them too.
The movies were weird. You would think.
Yeah.
I wonder what happened to Taylor Lautner. I was just thinking about it the other day.
I met him.
Did you?
Yep.
My sister-in-law met him. He filmed right next to our house. She has a photo of her. He's signing her paper, and she's looking at the camera with this crazy smile and tears running down her face.
That's when he was here for Abduction.
Yeah, I
That's
remember
how
that.
I met him
That was
too. I was an
crazy.
extra.
Oh yeah. Wow. I forgot that movie existed for a minute.
Yeah.
That's,
Yeah.
that's
It was
pretty
at
crazy.
where were we? The Rotunda at PNC Park.
Ah, okay.
It was a good moment.
All right.
I don't know what happened to him though.
Yeah, I don't know either. Last time I have no idea. The excuse me. Last category is 3 things to listen to. So you get to pick like 3 CDs.
I was going to say, I'll call you right back.
You could have the
Number
whole
one.
the whole thing.
We'll do that. We'll count that as one.
You got a lot of episodes
Ooh.
you could listen
and
to.
then, so for music, I love every kind of music. If I showed you my phone, it has everything.
Everything from like country.
Country
Okay.
to I love Latina music,
Okay.
rap, hip hop, R&B,
Yeah.
pop, reggae. I love reggae
Yeah.
music. Oldies,
All kinds of
all
stuff.
kinds of stuff. If I should narrow it down though. That's very broad.
I could give you greatest hits.
Okay, let's do that.
Of different artists.
Yes.
What about 3 greatest hits CDs?
I would do. I think for today it would have to be Maroon 5.
Okay, yeah.
Because I've always liked their music.
Adam Levine. kills
Yeah,
it.
he's just. I mean, every song of theirs I've always loved.
Yeah, it's a good. That's a good.
Which
pick.
got me to thinking I need to listen to Folklore by Taylor Swift.
Oh,
which
yeah.
just came out.
That just came out. I saw
Everybody is
that.
talking about it, and I really like her.
What's the
So-
song that? What was the single she just came out with? I listened to it. It was good.
I didn't listen to it, but
It
I
was
know
good.
what it was.
It was good.
But yeah, people love that album, so I'll have to listen to that. But I was
Very
going
in
to
your
say,
feelings. It's in the feelings for sure.
yeah, I was going to say Taylor Swift or Maroon 5, and then I would say I love Whitney Houston. So any
Too good.
like every song.
Too good.
It's too good. So
Too
I would
good.
say she would be up there on my greatest hits.
It would
of
be-
like every hit.
It's hard for me to choose between Dolly Parton's "I Will Always Love You" or Whitney Houston's.
Dolly's is
They're both
very
they're both
good.
fantastic.
They're both so good.
Both great.
And then, I would have to go back to the 90s
Yeah.
and do In Sync.
Yeah. NSYNC is better than Backstreet Boys. I've talked about it a
That
million
always
times.
and they're fine too. I like a lot of their songs, but In Sync will
Yeah,
always be
my
number
friend put
one.
a poll on Facebook, and I think like 600 people voted.
Really?
And yeah, it became like it kind of took off a little bit.
I
and
think
like,
everybody's on the same page too.
Backstreet Boys lost by a good bit. They lost. Okay, so second to last question is a death row meal. So if you could have anything you want to eat before
Oh,
you are put to death, what would you like to eat?
this is a good question.
I
don't think
ask-
I've ever been asked this
I ask
before.
everyone these last questions, and I think it's the most interesting because, like, we obviously like learn about your life,
Yeah.
in the beginning, and like the desert island questions, it puts people on their toes, and like usually the first thing that just pops into their head is
Yeah.
That's how I usually do it.
Let's see. Well, I would do a combination of things. It would be
Yeah.
a big, massive dinner of Little Tokyo sushi.
Yeah,
I would definitely have a big steak from Altius or the Capitol Grill.
Okay.
Because I like their food too. It's very good.
yeah,
And then I think I would do a Italian dish from Dish
yeah.
and just combine it all. I
I'll allow
love
it.
dessert too, but I'm much more of a meal. I like just a big
big
hearty
meal,
meal
yeah.
and a big portion.
Yeah, that's
I
fair.
would do that.
All right, you could have all that. Okay, and so I'm sponsored by Turner's. Okay,
Yep.
I have a segment. It's called the Turner's Crate. These are all
Ooh.
questions that are submitted by past guests before the
Okay.
coronavirus happened. So reach in there and grab a question, and please.
I love this idea.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
This is fun. Okay. Okay, this is a good one, and this is the desert island theme. If you were stuck on a desert island and have to cut off a foot or a hand in order to leave, which do you hack?
That's a good question.
That's a really good question. Oh, and this is DJ Afterthought, episode 27. Oh,
That's a hard question.
that's a hard question because
You like to have a hand, but you would also like to stand.
I would have to say the foot.
Yeah.
I would cut off the foot before the hand because I didn't realize, like, even when you have like a bad cut or something, how often like you use your hands and
It's a good point. I never thought about that.
Yeah, I remember the last time I had it was just like a paper cup, but it was really bad.
Yeah, you
and
don't
so
want to use your finger.
Yeah, so in the shower, I was just washing with my right hand, and I was like, oh, this is so annoying.
Yeah,
I need the other one. So I would do that because with the foot,
yeah, you can just like
you can get
you can
maybe
get a prosthetic or something.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
You just got to balance a little bit better.
Yeah.
All right, that's fair. I think that's fair. Okay, the last question that I ask everyone is: if you could have a conversation with anyone alive or dead, who would it be and why?
I would have to say maybe one of the royals.
The Royals.
I follow the royal family.
Really?
Kate Middleton would be a good one, just to see what it would be like
It would be
inside their
interesting.
world.
Yeah, it would be interesting.
Yeah, it would. I think it would be interesting, and I do like her a lot. Heather Abraham said that one time, and I was like, "That's a really good answer," because I love the royal family,
Yeah.
and I think it would. They're just constantly more than
Under a
anybody.
microscope.
Yeah, under a microscope.
It would be interesting to hear.
I know.
That's a good answer.
I think I would say Kate.
All right,
I'm trying to think of anybody else. No one's coming to mind.
Kate. That's
It's
a good
Kate.
answer. All right. Well, listen. I appreciate you for doing this and taking.
Yeah.
I know your time is valuable.
Oh no, I'm glad. I was looking at my phone and it's 1:44, but it feels like it was still noon when I got here.
I
Like we
know.
just had such a nice conversation.
That's usually
it was so
how
easy.
it goes. I'm glad that you had a good experience on the podcast.
I loved it.
Now take a second. Tell people where they could follow you on
Yeah.
Instagram, whatever you got.
Yes, you can follow me on the gram at Celina_Pompeani, Twitter at Celina Pompeani. I have a Facebook page, Celina Pompeani. And that's it. I also have a YouTube channel, but I really only post like my work there.
Yeah.
Like nothing, Maybe I should start doing everyday videos.
Yeah, why
but
not, right?
It's mostly my work.
You ever think about starting a new podcast?
Yes.
Yeah?
I do think about that.
You should.
Maybe I should. That would be fun.
Absolutely. Your personality, you got a good outlook on things, good experiences.
Chad.
Let's talk about this after. We'll figure it out.
Okay.
Everyone else that's listening, thank you as usual. I'll call you right back across the board. The website has mugs on there. Please take a second, subscribe, rate, and review the podcast. It helps me out very, very much. And we'll be back again next week with another guest. I appreciate it, and I'll call you right back.